Aurora was a young, beautiful lady full of life and dreams. She lived in a small province where everyone knew each other. Life seemed simple, but in this province, traditions were strict and mistakes were rarely forgotten. At 21, Aurora found out she was pregnant. The father of her unborn child, a young man she loved deeply, abandoned her as soon as she shared the news to him. When she told her parents, they were furious. "You have brought shame to this family," her father said. Her mother, very sad, stood silently by her husband's side. Within days, Aurora's parents sent her away to another province which was very far from theirs to avoid people's gossip. She took a small bag carrying only a few clothes, the money her parent gave her, and also the little money she had saved. She traveled several miles away to a new town, where no one knew her. Finding work to do was difficult for Aurora, and even when she found one, and she informed them about her being pregnant, they quickly dismissed her, with excuses like, "We need someone strong," they would say, shaking their heads, but Aurora refused to give up. She started doing odd jobs, washing clothes, cleaning homes. Even with her growing belly, she worked tirelessly. Months later, Aurora gave birth to a baby boy she named Williams, promising herself that she would give him a better life no matter what. She felt a new kind of strength. Williams became her world. As time went on, Aurora caught the attention of few men. She was beautiful, hardworking, and kind, so it wasn't difficult for men to admire her, but each time a man showed interest, they pulled away when they learned about William. "I can't compete with your son for your attention," one of them told her. Another man, though kind at first, quickly lost interest, saying, "You will never love me fully." It hurt Aurora deeply. She wanted to love again, to have a partner to share her struggles with, but no one seemed willing to accept her and her child. She began to believe that maybe she was meant to walk this journey alone despite the heartbreak. Aurora kept moving forward. She worked harder until Ben came along, a hardworking, kind, and handsome teacher. They fell in love, and Ben loved Aurora and her child. In no time, they got married. Aurora's mother and father were very happy for their daughter and grandson. Aurora soon started a small business selling clothes, which enabled her earn and contribute to the family. William was a bright and curious boy. He loved school and always came home eager to tell his mother and stepdad about his day. Their house was often filled with his laughter, and Aurora felt a deep sense of pride watching her son and husband get along so well. When William was older, Aurora and Ben decided to tell William the fact that Ben was not his biological father, but both assured him of his love for him as a father. Years passed. Aurora and Ben had twins. Their names are Emma and John. William, their elder brother, adored them. In no time, all the sacrifices of Aurora and Ben bore fruits. Their children were kind, humble, and determined. Aurora and Ben also gave them the best education they could afford. William, Emma, and John in turn did not disappoint them. William excelled in school and later graduated with honors, quickly rising in the business world, while Emma and John are currently doing well in school. William's intelligence and work ethic helped him build a thriving tech company, making him one of the most successful young men in the city. Now wealthy and undeniably handsome, William attracted attention wherever he went. Women were drawn to his confidence and charm, but Aurora noticed something that troubled her. Many of these women seemed more interested in his wealth than in who he was as a person. At social events, they would surround him, laughing at his jokes and competing for his attention. Aurora saw through their shallow compliments and eager smiles. They didn't know William. William visited his mother and stepfather at home. He shared some news that startled Aurora. "Mama, there's someone I've been seeing," he said casually, sitting across from her at the small dining table. Aurora looked up from the fabric she was folding. "A woman?" William nodded with a smile. "Her name is Juliet. We've been together for a while now. She's wonderful, beautiful, confident, and sophisticated. I think she's the one." Aurora's heart sank a little, but she forced herself to smile. "You've never mentioned her before. Why haven't you brought her home to meet us?" William hesitated. "She's been busy with work. She's a model and her schedule is packed, but I promise you'll meet her soon." Aurora nodded, though unease crept into her heart. She didn't want to judge a woman she hadn't met, but she couldn't ignore the pattern she had seen in so many other women around him. Later that week, William made a decision. He invited Juliet to his house for a private dinner where he was planning to propose. Juliet always looked stunning. Her flawless makeup and elegant dress complemented her striking features. She carried herself with the confidence of someone who was used to being admired. During dinner, Williams reached for her hand and looked into her eyes. Juliet, he began, these past few months have been the best of my life. You've brought joy and excitement into my world, and I can't imagine my future without you. Juliet's smile widened as Williams pulled out a small box and opened it, revealing a gold ring. Will you marry me? He asked. Juliet gasped, covering her mouth with her hands. Williams, yes, of course I will. As they embraced, Williams felt a wave of happiness, and at the same time he felt uncomfortable. This was the same unease he felt anytime he prayed about her. The next day, eager to share the good news to his family, he called home and his mother picked the call. Mama, he said, grinning, Juliet and I are engaged. Aurora's smile faltered for a moment, but she quickly recovered. That's wonderful, my son. When will we meet her? Very soon, Mama, Williams replied, but Aurora couldn't shake her unease. She had seen too many women try to charm her son, and something about Juliet's description, beautiful, sophisticated, and confident, set off a quiet alarm in her heart. Aurora and Ben lived a simple life. Despite William's growing wealth, they preferred staying in their modest home, rather than moving into William's luxurious mansion. They enjoyed their simple life and connections to the small community that they are part of. One evening, Aurora made her way home from the local market, with her bags of food supplies. The streets were quieter than usual, and she quickened her pace, clutching her bags tightly. Out of nowhere, two men emerged from a dark alley. Their faces were partially hidden and their movements were intimidating. Madam, drop the bag, one of them barked, stepping closer. Please, I have nothing of value, she stammered, trying to back away, but the men didn't listen. One of them grabbed her arm roughly, making her cry out. Let her go, a voice rang out from behind. The thugs turned to see a young woman standing a few feet away. She was petite but carried herself with surprising confidence. This is none of your business, one of the men growled. The young woman didn't budge. You heard me, let her go or I'll call the police, she said, holding up her phone. The men hesitated for a moment, before deciding it wasn't worth the trouble. They released Aurora and disappeared into the shadows. Aurora, still trembling, turned to the young woman. Thank you, my dear, I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't stepped in. It's nothing, Ma, the woman replied with a warm smile. Are you okay? Do you live nearby? Yes, I live just a few streets away. What is your name? Aurora asked. I'm Lily, the lady said. Let me walk you home just to be safe. Struck by Lily's kindness and humility, she did not just help her, she stayed by her side until they reached her house. After thanking Lily profusely, Aurora couldn't stop thinking about her. Who was this young woman who had risked herself to help a stranger? The next day, Aurora casually mentioned the encounter to her neighbor, who often knew everyone in the area. The neighbor said she's a secretary at some big company. A very sweet girl, always helping people around here. Aurora's curiosity deepened. She decided to do some discreet investigating. Asking a few more questions, she discovered that Lily worked as a secretary in William's company. The revelation surprised her. The more she learned about Lily, the more impressed she became. Lily came from a humble family and had worked hard to get where she was. Despite her struggles, she was known for her kindness and generosity. Aurora sat in her living room that evening, reflecting on the encounter. She didn't know who I was, Aurora thought to herself. She helped me without expecting anything in return. That's rare. She made a mental note to observe Lily further. There was something about her that gave Aurora hope, that perhaps not everyone in Williams's life was motivated by money or appearances. Lily arrived at work early every morning, ready to tackle the day's challenges with her usual quiet determination as William's secretary. She handled his demanding schedule with ease and ensured the office ran smoothly. She was efficient, respectful, and always professional to William. Lily was a key part of his company's success. He admired her dedication and work ethic, but never saw her as more than an excellent employee. What Williams didn't know was that Lily had secretly admired him. She was drawn to his intelligence, charm, and the kindness he showed to those around him, but she kept her feelings buried. Convinced that someone like him, wealthy and successful, surrounded by glamorous women, would never notice someone like her, Lily often pushed aside the pangs of longing that surfaced whenever William smiled at her, or thanked her for a job well done. Meanwhile, Aurora couldn't stop thinking about Lily. She wanted Williams to see what she saw in the young lady's humility, strength, and kind heart. One evening she brought up Lily during their usual dinner conversation. Williams, she began as they sat in the dining room of his luxurious home, there's something I want to tell you. What is it, Mama? William asked. Looking up from his plate, Aurora hesitated for a moment before continuing. Do you remember the other day when I told you I was attacked by some thugs near the market? William's expression darkened. Yes, I still can't believe something like that happened. Are you sure you're okay now? I'm fine, she assured him, but what I did not tell you is that a young lady saved me that day. Her name is Lily Adams and she works at your company as your secretary. Williams raised an eyebrow. Lily? She saved you? Aurora nodded, a smile forming on her lips. She didn't know who I was, but she stepped in without hesitation. She was brave, kind, and didn't expect anything in return. It made me think, and hope that Juliet had a heart like hers. Williams leaned back in his chair considering his mother's words. Lily is a good person, he admitted. She's hardworking and humble. I rely on her a lot at the office. But when Aurora pressed, Williams shrugged. I know what you are driving at, Mama, but I've never thought about her in that way. She's simple. I mean, I respect her, but I'm usually more attracted to women who are sophisticated like Juliet. Aurora's smile faltered slightly, but she didn't let her disappointment show. Sophistication is nice, Williams, she said gently, but it's not what makes a good wife. A selfless heart, loyalty, and kindness, that's what truly matters. I know, Mama, Williams replied, and I promise I'll keep that in mind. Juliet is nice too, and I'm sure you will like her after you meet her. Aurora nodded, though her unease lingered. She didn't want to interfere in William's decisions, but she couldn't shake the feeling that Juliet wasn't the right woman for him. As the evening went on, she couldn't help but wonder how she could make William see beyond appearances, and appreciate the things that truly mattered in a partner. Aurora could no longer keep her concerns about Juliet to herself. After her conversations with Williams, she grew even more uneasy about his engagement. She needed to know if Juliet truly loved her son for who he is, or if she was simply drawn to his wealth and status. One evening, when William came to see his parents as they sat together in the living room, Aurora shared her plans with William and Ben. She began, I need to know if Juliet is the right woman for you. I can't shake the feeling that something is off. Will you let me test her? William frowned at his mom's suggestions. Why? Because I'm having serious unease about this. I just want to get clarity, and my plan is not harmful. And at least you will be sure that the woman you are marrying truly loves you and is a good person. Okay, William said, still frowning his face. Aurora said firmly, I will move into your mansion, but not as your mother. I'll be your maid and we'll see how Juliet treats people when she thinks I'm powerless. How a person treats those they think are beneath them reveals their true character. William sighed, shaking his head. Mama, do you really think this is necessary? Juliet's is busy planning our wedding. She's not going to focus on the staffs. Aurora's gaze was steady. Williams, if you truly want me to support this marriage, you'll let me do this. If she passes the test, I'll welcome her with open arms. After a moment of hesitation, Williams relented. Fine, Mama, I'll go along with it. But I'm only doing this for your peace of mind. A few days later, Aurora packed a small bag and moved into William's mansion. She dressed in plain clothes, wrapped a scarf around her head, and kept her demeanor humble. The house staffs, who were loyal to Williams, were told to address her as Aabo, the new maid. That evening, William invited Juliet to move in with him temporarily, claiming it would help them finalize their wedding plans. Juliet arrived in her usual stunning style, wearing a designer dress and carrying expensive luggage. William introduced Aurora as the new maid. This is Aabo, he said. She takes care of things around the house. Juliet barely glanced at Aabo, offering only a dismissive nod before turning her attention back to Williams. The next morning, Aurora began her duties as a maid, cleaning, cooking, and serving meals. She noticed that Juliet didn't acknowledge her unless she needed something. Even then, her tone was sharp and condescending. Aabo, bring me some water, Juliet called out from the couch one afternoon. When Aurora quickly complied, Juliet didn't even look up from her phone. Aurora tried to engage Juliet in small talk during her chores, but Juliet only responded with brief, uninterested answers. One evening, Williams decided to escalate the test as Aurora served dinner. He deliberately raised his voice, shouting at her for no reason. Aabo, why is this food cold? He barked, slamming his fork on the table. Aurora bowed her head, playing her role perfectly. I'm sorry, sir, I will warm it up right away. Juliet watched silently, her expression unreadable. She didn't say a word in Aurora's defense, nor did she question William's behavior after dinner. Williams turned to Juliet. Do you think I was too harsh on her? Juliet shrugged. She's just a maid, Williams. If she made a mistake, she should fix it. You shouldn't feel bad about holding her accountable. William's stomach twisted at her words. He had hoped Juliet would speak up or show some compassion, but instead she dismissed Aurora as if she didn't matter. Later that night, Aurora sat in her small room reflecting on the day's events. Her heart felt heavy. She thought seriously of Juliet's behavior, but she couldn't conclude yet, when Williams came to check on her. She looked up at him with sad eyes. You see what I mean now? Williams nodded slowly, the weight of the situation settling over him. I didn't think she would act that way. I expected her to at least say something when I shouted at you. This is why I wanted to test her, Aurora said. Marriage isn't just about love, William. It's about character, kindness, and how someone treats the people around them. If Juliet can't show compassion to someone she thinks is a maid, how will she treat your family, your future children? William didn't have an answer, but he knew one thing for sure: his mother's concerns were valid. Days turned into weeks, and Aurora's role as the maid in William Mansion gave her a front row seat to Juliet's true nature. Juliet's dismissive and rude behavior became more apparent whenever William wasn't around. Old woman, can't you move faster? Juliet snapped one afternoon as Aurora carefully dusted the furniture. You're so slow, it's like watching a snail. Aurora swallowed her pride and kept quiet, knowing this was part of the test, but the insults kept coming. One morning, Juliet called Aurora into the kitchen. A glass of water sat on the counter. Aabo, Juliet said, her tone icy. You forgot to clean this glass yesterday. Before she could respond, Juliet grabbed the glass and poured its contents over Aurora. I don't even know why William keeps you here. Do your job properly next time. Aurora heartached at the humiliation, but she didn't let her emotions show. Instead, she looked at Juliet and said softly, I could be your mother, you know. I'm not so young anymore. Just be a little more patient with me. Juliet sneered, her voice dripping with contempt. My mother could never be a poor, disgusting maid like you. So stop acting like you're anything important and do your job. Later that day, Williams had forgotten an important file at home. Lily, ever reliable, stopped by the house to retrieve it. She knocked on the door and was surprised when Aurora answered. You, Lily exclaimed, recognizing the elderly woman she had helped in the street. I didn't know you worked here. Aurora smiled warmly, her spirits lifting at Lily's kind tone. Yes, my dear, I'm just helping around. Lily stepped inside, but before she could say much, Juliet's voice echoed from the living room. Aabo, what are you doing standing there? Get back to work. Lily turned toward the voice and saw Juliet lounging on the couch with her perfectly manicured fingers scrolling through her phone. I'm so sorry, Aurora murmured to Lily, hurrying to the living room with a tray of tea. Lily followed quietly, watching in disbelief as Juliet began berating Aurora for being slow and incompetent. You're pathetic, Juliet spat. Williams should just fire you. I don't know why he bothers keeping someone so useless around. Lily couldn't stay silent any longer. Excuse me, Miss Juliet, she said, her voice was firm but polite. Don't you think you're being a bit harsh? She hasn't even done anything. Juliet looked up startled. And who are you to tell me how to talk to my staff? I'm someone who believes in treating people with respect no matter their position. Lily replied, standing her ground. Juliet rolled her eyes. You don't understand how things work here. This woman is paid to do her job, and if she can't handle criticism, she should leave. Little Miss Secretary, you're overstepping your boundaries. Lily held her ground. Kindness is never out of bounds, Miss Juliet. Maybe you should try it sometime. Juliet snapped. If you're done playing the hero, you can leave now. I have better things to do than argue with someone like you. Lily retrieved the file she came for and gave Aurora a parting look. If you ever need help, please don't hesitate to reach out, she said softly before leaving, her heart warmed by the younger woman's kindness and courage. The stark difference between Lily's treatments of her and Juliet's cruelty was impossible to ignore. Later that evening, as she sat in her small room, she reflected on the day's events. Juliet's behavior had revealed the harsh truth she had suspected all along. Juliet lacked the compassion and respect that Aurora believed was essential in a partner. Is not reflected in. Lily, on the other hand, had proven once again that her kindness wasn't just a passing gesture, it was a fundamental part of who she was. It was a quiet afternoon in the mansion. Aurora, still disguised as Aabo, needed to go to the market to buy groceries for the house. Aurora didn't mind the task. It gave her time to think about how she would approach Williams about everything she had observed. When she realized she had forgotten her scarf at home, and decided to rush back to retrieve it. Just when Aurora entered the house quietly, she heard Juliet talking on the phone in the living room. The tone of her voice was sharp and agitated. Curiously, Aurora paused, staying out of sight behind the partially open door. Her hands shook as she pulled out her phone and began recording the conversation, hoping that she will get any form of evidence to show her son, but Aurora was not prepared for what she will find out. "I can't believe this," Juliet was saying angrily. "I'm pregnant. And I cannot tell Williams because we've never been intimate. It's all because of that ridiculous advice from his mother urging him to wait till marriage." "Oh, have you met his family already?" "No, I haven't. He said he will introduce me to them soon, but that's not the main issue now. I need to do something about my pregnancy, and I need to do it fast. I can't lose Williams." Juliet continued, her frustration clear. "He's my golden ticket. If I lose him, I lose everything." There was a pause as her friend on the other end spoke, and then Juliet replied. Her voice was quieter, but laced with desperation. "What do you mean, put something in his drink? Are you serious?" Aurora's heart began to race. She leaned closer, her breathing shallow as she tried to hear every word. "Look," Juliet's friend said, her voice faintly audible through the phone. "If you don't act fast, you might lose him for good. Slip something in his drink, get him in the mood, and make it happen. If he finds out you're pregnant later, he'll have no choice but to marry you." "I don't know," Juliet said, pacing the room. "What if it doesn't work?" Her friend laughed coldly. "Then you'll have to take more drastic measures, if you want the lifestyle and jobs you are getting because of your association with him. Juliet, you have to fight for it, do whatever it takes." Aurora's stomach churned as she captured the exchange on video. She couldn't believe the lengths Juliet was willing to trap her son with another man's child. Juliet finally stopped pacing and let out a heavy sigh. "Fine, I'll do it tonight. He'll be home late and I'll make sure it happens. He'll never know what hit him." Aurora stepped back silently, her mind racing. She had seen enough. She slipped out of the house without Juliet noticing and headed to the market, her heart pounding with a mix of anger and fear. When Aurora returned to the mansion, she locked herself in her small room and replayed the video. The evidence was undeniable. Juliet's cruelty and deceit went far deeper than she had ever imagined. She sat on the bed with her thoughts spinning. "What kind of woman is this?" she whispered to herself. "How can she be planning something so vile against my son?" It was late in the evening when Williams returned home, after a long day at work. He looked tired as he walked into the living room, loosening his tie. Juliet greeted him with her usual charm, planting a quick kiss on his cheek. "You look exhausted," Juliet said sweetly. "Let me get you something to drink, it will help you relax." Williams nodded absent-mindedly, sinking into the chair in the kitchen. Juliet moved quickly. She reached into her handbag, pulling out a small vial of powder. She glanced around to ensure no one was watching before sprinkling the substance into a glass of juice. A sinister smile played on her lips as she stirred it and carried it back to Williams. Meanwhile, Aurora, who had been monitoring Juliet's every move, was prepared. She emerged from the shadows of the hallway, her eyes sharp and unwavering. "Williams," Aurora called out just as he reached for the glass. "Wait." Williams looked up surprised. "Aabo, what's wrong? You can't drink that," Aurora said firmly. Juliet's face twisted with irritation. "What are you doing, Aabo? This is none of your business." "It is my business," Aurora shot back. "I know what you put in that glass." Williams' brows furrowed. "What is she talking about?" Juliet laughed nervously, waving her hand dismissively. "This old woman is crazy. Williams, you need to get rid of her. She's been nothing but trouble since the day she got here." But Aurora wasn't backing down. "Williams, I have tolerated enough insults for the sake of these tests, but I cannot stay silent any longer. I know exactly who Juliet is, and what she's been plotting." "Williams," Juliet interrupted, her voice shrill, "kick her out of this house right now. She's accusing me of nonsense." "Aabo," he said, his tone cautious, "what are you talking about?" "Williams, it's time she knows the truth." The room fell silent. Juliet's jaw dropped and her face turned pale. "What truth?" she exclaimed, her voice shaking. Williams stared at Aurora. "Juliet, this is Madame Aurora, my mother. She came to my house as a maid so she could test you," he admitted. "I needed to know the kind of person you truly are," Aurora said, "and now I have proof." She pulled out her phone and played the video she had recorded earlier. The room filled with Juliet's voice, as she told her friend about her pregnancy, her plans to drug Williams, and her desperation to secure his wealth. Williams' face darkened as the video played. Juliet stood frozen. Williams. She stammered, "It's not what it looks like. I was just joking with my friend. You know how women talk sometimes." Williams' voice was cold as ice. "Joking? You call drugging me and marrying me for my wealth a joke?" Juliet moved closer to him and tears filled her eyes. "Please, Williams. I love you. I only did this because I was scared of losing you." Aurora stepped forward, her voice firm. "Love doesn't involve manipulation and lies. Juliet, you have shown your true colors, and there is nothing but greed and selfishness." Williams looked at Juliet, his disappointment clear. "I trusted you. I thought you loved me for who I am, not for what I have, but now I see I was wrong." Juliet fell to her knees sobbing. "Please, Williams, don't do this. I can change. I will be better." But Williams shook his head. "It's too late. Juliet, pack your things and leave." Moments later, Juliet was escorted out of the house by security, her tears doing nothing to sway Williams. Aurora stood by her son's side, her heart heavy but relieved that the truth had come to light. Williams turned to Aurora. "Mama," he said quietly, "I can't believe what you've done for me. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't stepped in." Aurora smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. "I only want what's best for you. My son, you deserve someone who will love you for who you are, and not for what you can give them." Williams nodded, his respect for his mother growing even deeper. The weeks following Juliet's betrayal were difficult for Williams. The sting of her deceit left him questioning his judgment and his ability to trust others. Aurora stayed close, offering her support and reminding him that not everyone in his life had bad intentions. "Mama," Williams said one evening as they sat in the garden, "how do I know someone loves me for who I am and not for what I have?" Juliet said all the right things, but look how that ended. Aurora smiled gently, her hands resting on his. "Williams, trust takes time and not everyone is like Juliet. Sometimes the right person is already in your life, you just need to see them for who they are." Weeks became months and Williams began to heal from his broken heart. During this period he began to notice Lily's kindness, her humility, and how she had always treated everyone with respect, and also how she carried herself with grace and sincerity. And spending so much time with her in the office to take his mind off the pain he felt, made him fall in love with her faster. He hesitated to act on his feelings because of his past experience. "What if I'm wrong again? What if she's just better at hiding her true nature?" he thought to himself. Williams made up his mind that he wanted to pursue a relationship with Lily, but needed to be certain of her motive. The next day he approached Lily at her desk. "Lily," he said. His voice was calm but serious, "I've been thinking a lot about you. I'd like to spend more time with you outside of work. Would you be willing to go out with me?" Lily looked up surprised, her cheeks flushed, and she smiled. "Of course, Mr. Williams. I did love you to call me Williams," he said with a smile. Their relationship began slowly. Lily's warmth and sincerity helped Williams heal from the pain Juliet had caused. She never asked for expensive gifts or extravagant dates, and her humility only deepened his admiration for her, but a lingering doubt still weighed on him. Was Lily truly different, or was she simply waiting for the right moment? One evening he discussed his concerns with his father and mother. "I want to trust her, but I need to know for sure." Ben and Aurora, ever supportive, encouraged him, "If you need proof, then test her. But above all, pray that God direct you. Also remember," Aurora said, "Lily has shown nothing but kindness even when she didn't know who I was. Keep that in mind." The following week Williams set his plan in motion. He spread rumors among his employees and close associates that his company had collapsed. He sent out an official email stating that due to bad investments the business had gone bankrupt, and that all staffs, including Lily, were being relieved of their duties. He even claimed that his private savings had been drained trying to keep the company afloat. "I have lost everything," he told them. When Williams broke the news to Lily personally and told her he had to move to a smaller apartment as the bank had seized his mansion, her reaction was a mixture of concern and sadness. "I'm so sorry, Williams," she said. "This must be so hard for you." His voice heavy. "I don't know how I'll manage now. I don't even have a job for you anymore." Lily reached out and touched his hands. "Don't worry about me. I'll find another job. But if you need help, please let me know. I'm here for you." In the days that followed, Williams watched closely as Lily adjusted to the news. She didn't distance herself from him, nor did she complain about losing her job. Instead, she focused on supporting him, bringing him homemade meals and offering words of encouragement. One evening she showed up at his small apartment with a bag of groceries. "Lily," William said, surprised. "What's this?" William asked. "I thought you might need a little help," she said with a smile. I know things are tough right now, but you'll get through this. His heart swelled with emotions. Despite thinking he had lost everything, Lily's actions were driven by care and loyalty. Later that evening, William went and told his parents everything. I told you she was different, Aurora said to William with a big smile, his doubts beginning to fade away, and anytime he prayed to God about Aurora his mind is at peace. She's amazing. I've never met anyone like her. William's carefully crafted rumor of bankruptcy spread. He watched how the people in his life reacted to his supposed downfall. To his dismay, most of his associates distanced themselves almost immediately. The calls and invitations that had once flooded his desk came to an abrupt halt. The most painful betrayal came from his closest friend John. John had been by William's side since his business began, always claiming to have William's best interests at heart. But as soon as the news of William's financial ruin broke, John stopped answering his calls. One evening, Williams finally managed to reach John. John, I'll need your advice, Williams said, faking desperation. Things are falling apart and I don't know where to start rebuilding. John hesitated on the other end of the line. Williams, I'm sorry, but I don't think I can help. I've got my own issues to deal with right now. Maybe it's best if we keep some distance for a while. The call ended abruptly, leaving William staring at his phone in disbelief. Days turned into weeks and William felt the isolation creeping in. But amidst the loneliness, there were few people who hadn't abandoned him. Lily was one of them. Lily continued to visit William regularly, bringing him meals and words of encouragement. She even suggested ways he could rebuild his business, offering practical ideas. One evening, as they sat together in the living room, William turned to Lily. His voice was heavy with emotion. Lily, why are you still here? Everyone else has left, even John. Someone I considered a brother has turned his back on me. Why haven't you? I have nothing to offer. Lily hesitated, her cheeks flushed. She looked down at her hands, then back up at him. Her eyes filled with sincerity. Williams, she began, I have loved you since the first day I saw you. Not because of your wealth or your success, but because of who you are, the way you treat people, your kindness, your determination. It inspired me from the very start. Williams was taken aback. You loved me all this time? Lily nodded. I never said anything because I knew you favor certain kinds of women. And you were surrounded by beautiful, accomplished women. And I wasn't interested in competing for your attention, when you were not even interested in me at the slightest. Williams reached out and took her hand, his voice filled with gratitude. Lily, your kindness and loyalty mean everything to me. While others ran away, you stayed. Tears filled Lily's eyes and she smiled shyly. I will always stay, William. I don't care about the money or the status. I care about you. With that, William pulled her close and they shared a passionate kiss. William couldn't keep the truth from Lily any longer. Her loyalty and unwavering support had proven her love beyond any doubt, and it was time to come clean. That evening, as they sat together in the living room, he looked at her with a seriousness that made her heart skip a beat. Lily, he began, his voice low and steady, there is something I need to tell you. I haven't been completely honest with you. Lily frowned slightly, concern flickering in her eyes. What is it, William? Is something wrong? He sighed deeply, running a hand through his hair. The rumors about my company's collapse, about me losing everything, they aren't true. I faked it. Lily's eyes widened in shock. Why would you do that? Williams took her hands in his gaze filled with regret. After what happened with Juliet, I couldn't trust anyone. I needed to know if you loved me for who I am, or if you were like the others, only here for my wealth. Lily pulled her hands away, standing up as she processed his words. Hurt flashed across her face. You tested me. You lied to me about everything just to see how I would react, William admitted. I'm so sorry, Lily. It wasn't fair to you and I hate that I doubted you. But through it all, you stayed by my side. You proved to me that your love is real. Lily turned away, her arms crossed, as tears filled her eyes. She had been so vulnerable, pouring her heart out to him, and now she felt exposed. After a moment, she turned back to him. I understand your fears, William. You've been hurt before and you needed to protect yourself, but I am still hurt to know that you didn't trust me. William stepped closer, his voice filled with emotions. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I'm asking for it anyway. You have shown me what real love looks like, and I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you if you'll let me. Lily looked into his eyes and saw his sincerity, and slowly nodded. I forgive you, William, but don't ever test me like that again. Never, William promised, pulling her into a tight embrace. Later that evening, William took Lily to his parents' home, where Aurora and Ben was waiting. With a warm smile, William began. I'd like you to officially meet Lily. Lily, this is my mother Aurora, and Ben my father. My younger siblings are in school. Aurora. Lily's jaw dropped in surprise. You're his mother? I thought you were Aabo. Aurora laughed, stepping forward to take Lily's hands. Yes, I was Aabo, but it was all part of the plan to test Juliet, and in the process I got to know you, a kind, humble and selfless lady who saved me without even knowing who I was. Lily blushed. Aurora said warmly, you're exactly the kind of person I have prayed for William to meet. William smiled, reaching into his pocket. He brought out a small royal blue box. His heart pounding with emotion, he got down on one knee. Lily gasped, her hands flying to her mouth as tears filled her eyes. Lily, William said, holding out a beautiful ring. You've shown me the meaning of true love. You've been my light in the darkest times in front of my parents, who I respect so much. I would like to ask you, will you do me the honor of being my wife? Tears streamed down Lily's face as she nodded yes, William. William slipped the ring into her finger and they embraced. Aurora and Ben also embraced them joyfully. With Lily by his side, William returned to his business more determined than ever to grow his company. The fake rumors of bankruptcy had not only exposed those who were disloyal but also reaffirmed the importance of genuine relationships. William reinstated the staff members who had shown loyalty during the trial and made a point to personally thank and reward those who stood by him. With his circle of trust now smaller but stronger, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. Months later, the day of their wedding arrived. The ceremony was held in a lush garden filled with vibrant flowers and the soft melody of a live band. Lily walked down the aisle in a stunning white dress, her radiant smile lighting up the entire venue. William standing at the altar looking at Lily with nothing but love in his eyes. The journey to this moment had been full of ups and downs, but he's grateful to God. When the pastor declared them husband and wife, the crowd erupted in cheers. William and Lily shared their first kiss as a married couple. Their families and friends were also there to witness the beginning of a new chapter in their life. If you enjoy this story, kindly like, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you.